Hey everybody, Coach BK here. So we're going to talk about the single leg deadlift, and we're going to be using a weight, and this is going to incorporate balance. So I'm going to roll through this video and kind of show some highlights on important things to keep in mind. This is an activity that we really want to learn how to master, so let's get started with the video. So at this point right here, what we want to focus on is right here. This knee is slightly bent, and if you were to see me with my shoe off, my toes are nice and kind of spread out. If you've listened to my yoga videos, this means that you are connecting with the four corners of your feet and you're not gripping with your toes. So some of those folks that are losing your toes all the time when you're running, this is partly why you have a kinetic habit of gripping with your toes, and one way of losing toenails. So that's one thing, is micro bend in the knee. The other thing is this line right here needs to be mostly straight. You want to be pivoting on the standing leg femur, kind of pivoting back and forth. And the other idea is that you are not letting this hip come up. Okay, that hip stays down. If you keep this hip down, that's how you can kind of organically stretch the IT band and the outer rotators in the hip as well, if you're doing this correctly. So let's continue with the video. See how kind of the line is straight. This leg is kind of bent. It's mostly because my hamstring is tight, just finished an Ironman. But the idea is that this whole line is mostly straight in whichever movement that I'm doing. I'm really trying to rotate in that spot, okay? So I lost my balance there a little bit, and that's okay. So see, if you can keep the outside hip down, not let it, whoops, awesome, not let it come up, you notice that you're going to get some stretching in this area, right? Okay. So I want to point out, yes, my hip, my knee is bent right here. That's okay. But see this point here, this point here, this point here, and this point here? It's still all in a straight line, and that requires ab strength, and it requires some back work along here to pull your heart up. So my heart's kind of always moving forward. Something that I've talked about a lot in the yoga videos. So doing the yoga, doing this deadlift, you learn a lot of things in both. So right there, you can see that this is flat right here. I didn't do what's wrong, but I think you can see that if your hip is up, you're going to see a lot more of the, the glute max on the other side. See, my back is pretty flat right here. That requires length right there. That's how I keep this length, is when I do this strength work, I'm strengthening my hip, but I'm also stretching it at the same time. And I'm not developing kinetic habits in my hip that make that tight. And so the runners that are talking about IT band issues and getting tight when you're running, some of that has to do with kinetic firing in the hip. And this is a way of relearning something new and better.